Chris Steele is running just a few minutes late, so we're going to hold off on beginning the meeting until he arrives around 9:10.
How are you?
I know. It's stuck under there.
Hey.
We are ready to rock and roll. If you are, I'm assuming that we defer to you as chair of the overall cash.
I think that's probably right. I think we probably need to
Even though, and
elect
then
a
we
chair.
will elect
Let's do it.
for the subcommittee.
Perfect. Okay. I would like to call this meeting to order by asking the clerk to call the roll. Chris Steele.
Aaron Goldie.
Ray Douglas.
Okay, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I would note that the notice for this meeting was properly posted on July 22nd, 2022, and therefore we are in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. The next agenda item would be public comment, but I do not see any takers on the public comment. So with that, I think that we would introduce the members of this committee, which we have already done, but I also believe that Derek Scobie may also be on this committee, according to my notes. So it's the three of us, which would be Chris Steele, Aaron Ingelke, and Ray Douglas, plus Derek Scobie, as far as people who are representing the Citizens Advisory Board. And do we have the flexibility to talk about other people who may want to serve on this committee? It's on down in the agenda. Okay, got it. Seeing no action required for agenda item number 2, we will go to agenda item number 3, which is discussion and hopefully action to elect a chair and vice chair of the Recruitment and Retention of Staff Subcommittee. So with that, I would open up the floor for recommendations for chair.
Although he's not here on today, and just based on some other things he's done, I think that Derek Scobie would serve well as chair for the subcommittee.
I think he would serve well too. Do we know if he, do you think that he would be willing to do that?
I think he would be. I guess all he could say is no.
Okay, fair. That's super fair. So maybe Pastor, we would, if I could amend your motion, we would just say that we would recommend Derek Scobie to serve as chair contingent upon his acceptance. Yes, sir.
And I would like to move that Pastor Douglas serve as vice chair.
Well, I was going to move that you serve. That's right. And one of the reasons is not that I wouldn't be honored to serve. It's just that I have a lot of leadership responsibility and a lot of other things, and sometimes the responsibility I get pulled.
Yeah.
And often I'm out of town because I'm a pastor.
That's
with
fair.
Denominational responsibilities, not just Pastor Scobie is a pastor as well, but
right.
I also serve in leadership of our denomination. So.
It's hard to say at this point how much responsibility there would be for this committee because we haven't quite outlined what our purposes and functions will be, nor, specifically have we fleshed out the meeting schedule. So, in my view, there's a little bit of flexibility on that front.
Well, in that case, I'll be happy to serve with Pastor Scobie.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think I can do it. That's fine.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to nominate Derek Scobie to serve as chair and Ray Douglas to serve as vice chair of the Recruitment and Retention of Staff Subcommittee, contingent upon Derek Scobie's acceptance. Is there additional discussion, additional thoughts? I would just note that nobody told me that we were supposed to wear pretty purple today.
It's lavender, by the way, Chris.
Had I known, lavender. I don't think I have it, but I would have found something.
Next time we'll yeah, I was going to say, you totally missed the memo.
Right. You guys look great. Okay, seeing no additional discussion, we will call the roll.
So we're doing this just a little bit different this time. If you press your motion and your second.
Sorry, I hit motion, but you were the one that actually made the motion, so I'm going to withdraw mine and you.
I think Pastor Douglas might have made the motion.
Okay, I don't know.
And then I think I had amended the motion, but
Okay.
he accepted it. So I
Right.
think
Let's try again.
we'll
Okay,
practice.
over to you. Is it not working?
Are we good?
Yep, and now we,
Now we just vote.
yep. Mhm.
How about that?
How fancy they are.
I'm not yet.
Oh, you don't have it yet?
Okay.
Are we good? Mr. Vice Chair, in the absence of a chair, the vice chair normally leads. I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you like to take over at this point?
I can. So, item number 4 is discussion and possible action to establish time, date, and location for the next meeting of the Recruitment and Retention of Staff Subcommittee. It's generally being, to be said, held the third or fourth Wednesday of any particular month set by the subcommittee, which does not conflict with another Oklahoma County Criminal Justice Authority Citizens Advisory Board meeting and discussion of Open Meeting Act requirements. Is there any particular frequency, I guess, that we probably should establish now, with the understanding that if need be, we can adjust it?
I believe that it had previously been discussed. What is today, the third or fourth Wednesday? This is the fourth Wednesday, so that it would coincide with the same date as the Community Relations Subcommittee. I'm personally fine with that, but obviously want to make sure that that aligns with everyone else's availability and schedule. I think, to your point, if it doesn't, let's say that we set it on a monthly basis and there's not significant agenda topics, we can always, hold that meeting and miss a month. I mean, I don't feel like, I'm always of the vantage point, you don't need to meet if there's not a reason to meet. Because all of us are very busy individuals and have active duties within the community. So I am fine to, retain it at the fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m. And as for the location, I don't think we have any flexibility on that. So it would be here.
Chris?
Yes, sir. I defer. I'm happy to meet on whichever day is most convenient for the majority of this subcommittee. So, and I also defer to the frequency of time. I'm gonna find the appropriate place to say this in our agenda at some point, Mr. Chair. But I think that there is opportunity right now. So there's a lot of, it feels like there is a lot of awareness, discussion, and interest in what is happening at the Oklahoma County Jail. I think that there's a lot of momentum with the passage of the bond to build a new jail. And I think there's going to be a lot of interest for people potentially to consider working in the new jail or in the jail as we move toward this new facility and sort of this new paradigm. And so I would my only thought is, how do we work with Director Williams and Mr. Monday and whoever else we need to work with to understand their staffing needs, and if there is a need to engage in some or to recommend some additional recruitment activities and things of that nature. I suspect that this committee may not need to meet every month, but I don't feel like I don't feel like I know that. Like I feel like I would need more information to know what the recommendation for the frequency would be. And at the end of the day, I will just say completely and wholeheartedly, I defer to you, Pastor Douglas, Aaron, to you, and to Pastor Scobie to determine that. If you guys want to meet every day, I'll meet every day. If you want to meet every other month, I'll meet every other month.
Well, I think that if we schedule monthly, we have the ability to counsel and in a timely manner and not.
Okay.
So if we set the frequency to monthly, and then we are able to determine at each meeting whether or not we need to meet the very next month for pressing things, or that we could wait another month, I think that would.
Yeah. Agreed.
So I guess we would receive a motion that we would set the frequency of meetings as monthly on the fourth Wednesday at 9 a.m.
Second.
All right, it's been, well, you have to push the button.
Do you have to, I think you have to hit motion first. Will it work?
No. Whoever's making the motion.
Oh.
Right. So I was
Gotcha.
receiving the
So
motion.
sorry.
I was.
Yes. Okay. I will be the one to make that motion. Absolutely.
You guys, you're going to be so good.
I know. My goodness.
And of course, my buttons don't work, so that's real good, and I don't even have the ability to vote. Looks like it has.
Mm-hmm.
It has been moved and second.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So unanimous.
Okay.
All right. Next item is regarding the purpose and functions of the Oklahoma Recruitment and Retention of Staff Subcommittee. And so, again, as Chris alluded to, I think that our goal should be to help Director Williams and his staff gain from our citizens the best people possible to do the jobs. And so whether that is this committee organizing and help to host recruitment fairs, just being in the community, talking about the opportunities, finding out more about the opportunities from Director Williams, and just really being ambassadors for employment there.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I don't want to wait, and I want to say again, I apologize for being late this morning. I certainly always want to respect everyone else's time, and I'm giving that disclaimer as I'm about to go on a rant. But I want to keep this in front, so I'm have the opportunity to serve on this board. I think the people on this board, and I will say this forever, are the best of the best. I mean, I just feel so honored to get to be up in service with you all. And I think that there's some things that we should consider. And I think that working collectively within the community, we can we can make some inroads in this vein as well. I want to say again that according to the demographics that I have reviewed recently, 48% of the population at the Oklahoma County Jail is African American. I think it would go a long way in improving relationships, trust, rapport, maybe even behavior. If a person who may be detained could see themselves in the staff who work there. And I think that we should also be intentional about reaching out to communities that may be underrepresented in the staff at the Oklahoma County Jail, just to say, hey, you can do this too. And there may be some great opportunities. And so I think that this subcommittee, because of who is comprised and who may be added to this subcommittee, may be in a position to work with faith leaders to promote some opportunities, some job fairs, other nonprofits that may already be having job fairs or maybe in a service to help people consider the right career path for themselves, and the community at large. Like there's opportunities. I get flyers of 10 job fairs a month. It feels like not quite that many, but a lot. And I think I would just want to be intentional about making the HR people at the county jail aware of those opportunities to make sure if they would like to have a booth, they can, and just to kind of be that connector. But more than that, I personally want, to the extent possible, to be creative and to really be intentional in promoting opportunities in a way that results in a diverse pool of applicants for the jail.
I agree that we should have as a diverse pool as possible. And so I think that with job fairs, an African American community, job fairs in the Hispanic community are very necessary to just create the idea of welcomeness. Sometimes in minority populations, because nothing, we feel often left out. It's not always intentional, but I like what you said about being intentional in inclusiveness. And so, because often if we're not intentional, we feel excluded. So I'm with that completely.
I think I mean, there's so many opportunities, but I think immediately to potentially reach out to the Black Chamber of Commerce, the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce, and say, hey, what do you have going on, and how can how can we work with you to help promote some awareness, and I don't know, maybe we talk to the HR, the powers that be within the jail to make sure that they're members of those organizations and participating and so on and so forth. But I think there's just a lot of opportunity. I feel very hopeful. I feel very, very optimistic.
Yeah, I would love to do some data collecting from the HR team to assess where they have been recruiting. What by what means have they tried to source new staff? Because I think that would be a great starting place for us to then fill in those gaps, right? Like with communities that may have been untapped this whole time. And so, part of me just always likes to have the data first and then assess like what, I don't want to duplicate efforts. Right. And thankfully Director Williams is very, very open to all of this. I mean, he's expressed that many a time, like he is, hungry for additional ideas. And so I think it would be to our benefit to first of all get an idea of what memberships do they currently hold, what job fairs have they done. We've heard a little bit about some recent job fairs just as a part of our Citizens Advisory Board meetings, but I suspect that there have been plenty prior to that, because I'm hopeful too. I think there's a lot of potential, and I think we could also leverage some media. Like, to be frank, I don't know if the Black Chronicle is still in existence, but is it?
The Black Chronicle, which is Mr. Perry's
Mr. Perry, yes.
Of course, there's radio stations, and then also there's a can't remember the name of it, the Tribune maybe. Also in the black community is
Okay.
another newspaper. Uh, so yeah, there are a lot of, but I think the newspaper that I guess, well, the media outlet in the African American community that is going to have the broadest reach, the biggest footprint would be very broadcasting.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, and I think it'd be advantageous to leverage that, whether it's through earned media or if the jail has a little bit of a budget to even place some ads. I think that is just a really powerful way, even doing a mix of the both, to publicize these opportunities within that community.
One other thing I think that we maybe, at least that I've been mulling over. I think I know that Director Williams does, like one of the things that he does that I think is really sharp is that they always have an employee of the month that they highlight, they affirm, they recognize, they value, individuals that work within the jail that are just going above and beyond, and there's just somebody new all the time that they're recognizing. I think that maybe we should also consider collectively how we can encourage that sort of awareness. What can we do, or what could we suggest be done to also kind of give some attention and some affirmation where it's due? That's one thing. The other thing is because people like to work in an environment that they feel appreciated. Um, the other thing I think is that it would my heart's desire is for us to potentially also host some focus groups with employees, maybe some frontline employees, to say, hey, what caused you to want to come to work here, and what do you think should be done to encourage more people? And I just think including those voices, however we do that, if we go over, once every other month and just host a coffee or something with a group of staff to get their thoughts and their perspective on um, why they're working in the jail, and what may be a good way to promote that could also help develop the best and most informed strategies.
Yeah, you're thinking we're on the same track here, Chris, because I was thinking the same thing. Only I was my initial thought process was to do a broad survey, a digital survey of all staff. But focus groups are, sometimes they're more beneficial, right? Because you actually get to have the conversation and the dialogue. Quite frankly, we could do both.
Right.
I think having
Gives you the big view.
yes, having a very comprehensive view of all employees, recognizing not all employees will probably participate in the survey, but even if there's a hefty number that do participate, I think that could provide us a lot of content to then guide what we do as a subcommittee and find additional opportunities to affirm and appreciate and validate the tremendous work that they're doing. And then perhaps even identifying individuals within that survey to do some focus groups. I love that.
I think also too, in addition to the hiring data, attrition data is very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
So that why did people choose to work there, and then why did they choose not to anymore? I think that's very important.
I do too.
I think retention helps with recruitment. I've worked for companies that were rated some of the best places to work, that the attrition was very, very low. People were happy, and have worked for companies that were not.
Right.
That you had
Constant turnover.
Yeah, 400% or greater attrition sometimes, and often has to do with the environment and the current employees, how happy they are. Has a lot to do with whether or not you can get good employees coming in. Good people don't want to go to a bad place, and it's hard to keep good people at a bad place. So you change the culture to work with that. So I think that data will help us understand some things as well.
Yeah. I think something really powerful, as well as once we get through some of this data collection, is identifying some staff that maybe have been there for quite some time and could serve as almost like the public spokespeople in these ads and in the earned media, to say, like, I have been here for X number of years and I love working here because, it's one thing for us to say, hey, go work there because it's great. It's something entirely different when it's an employee who's been there and can, like, personally just be a testimony of why this is such a great place to work. So I would love to identify even a handful of people who would be willing to serve in that capacity.
Well, I think that we probably continue to discuss these ideas and put into place. I think maybe not necessarily something that we need to make a motion and vote on, but I think that we have some action items to get the data from Mr. Williams on hiring. It's kind of skewed under because we have a short window, but if we could also get the hiring data from when the sheriff's department had it,
Absolutely.
Also the attrition that, and with the surveys, talk with him how we can craft a survey and how, I guess, I don't know, what access they have to do a Survey Monkey or whatever. But people like anonymous surveys.
They do.
If they feel it is really anonymous. If they don't think it's really anonymous,
they're not going to be honest.
They're not. Well, they're not even going to participate.
Yeah.
It's like, and so often, without that, you get the very worst and the various, like, this is the best place because they told me to say that or whatever.
Right.
But I think those are some of the action items that we get with Director Williams about how do we get that data. I'm sure they have it, and if he would share it with us, and then we need what questions do we want answered on the survey. And then with his staffing, right? So we're talking about recruitment, and so if he's short staffed, it might be very, very hard.
Sure, right.
to get people to doing their shift to be able to, and so maybe with coffee or donuts or pizza or whatever, that we can get people after
Food
shift.
is a great motivator. Well, in terms of next steps, I don't mean to overly project myself, but I would be happy to reach out to Director Williams and ask him some of these follow-up questions to collect some of this initial data and then bring it forward to the next meeting, if that's beneficial.
All right, I think that is a next step that we have.
I'm happy to do that.
Who does what next? So everyone will reach out and get the information, and then also we need to find out if they do have an advertising budget.
Yeah, I will ask that.
And once we have that information, we're able to move forward.
Yeah, it's great.
All right. Any other discussion on agenda item 5? All right. So number 6. Oh wow. I don't think there's any motion that we need to make. Number 6 is the discussion and possible action regarding appointment of additional members to the subcommittee, qualifications, manner, and timing of the appointment. I think that this is an area that we want to reach out to the community and to the employees. Some of those underserved communities that we discover that actually have members of those communities on it, and then also within, and again, with the employees, sometimes it's very difficult again because I think we discussed this, you know, if they're understaffed to take people from, to do that. But I think there's some kind of way that we need to constantly have their input. I don't know if it's them being a representative being on the committee
Or do we invite them to the subcommittee meetings and have an opportunity to discuss with them that way?
I mean, and that's what I'm saying, that the logistics of that may be too difficult
Yeah.
for employees. I think the invite should definitely need people from the community and those communities that are underrepresented as employees to help in the recruitment. So those community leaders need to be a part of it and on. And then some kind of way, I don't know if it's a rotation of different employees. So instead of naming a person to the committee, actually having a position to the committee. I know it seems like that's a thing that I really like. It's not a person but a position. But sometimes that's the most equitable,
Yes, sir.
and doable thing.
I might just to follow up on what you're suggesting. I wonder if there is like an HR head for the Oklahoma County Jail, or a person. It may be for the county actually, but a person that does the vetting and sort of the hiring, if you will, you know, the direct sort of recruitment and hiring within. If they have a person designated on staff to do that, that may not be a frontline staff, that may want to serve on, like officially, perhaps, not to replace the input of direct frontline staff, surveys and focus groups and all that good stuff, but maybe a position like that who's, you know, constantly thinking about and already doing some marketing and
And I don't know again if whether or not they have a person assigned to recruitment.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So that would be a great employee to have, because they have a very, very vested interest. Because their metric is filling.
I'm sure they could benefit from some assistance, you know? Well, one of the additional follow-up questions I could present to Director Williams is just that. Is there someone, a part of the HR recruitment team, that could potentially serve on the subcommittee? And just explore that with him if we feel like that's important.
One other, I think that's a great idea. I don't want to like skip over that. I think that's a really, really good idea. One name that I have that I would like to, not officially, I would like to announce this name today. I would like to make you aware of this name, but then also send a resume and have you guys, you know, maybe do some homework before we vote on anybody. But the young woman's name is Jasmine Thomas. Jasmine Thomas has worked for a couple of years in HR at Amazon, but she is very active in her community. She's very active in Northeast Oklahoma, just at everything, and very well connected. She's young and is in that world where young people are determining careers, and I think she potentially brings not only some experience and training in how to recruit and ultimately how to promote employment opportunities. I think she's connected with a demographic, particularly the younger crowd, that could be very, very helpful in helping me as somebody that's not a part of that crowd understand what others may be interested in, like if it's signing bonuses, you know, like what does it take to get a person to, anyway. I would love to not vote on her today, but I would love to send Jasmine Thomas's bio and or resume to this committee for consideration of appointment. which brings me to my last question. Mr. Vice Chair, will you remind me again what our policy is on the number of at-large members that can be seated?
Has to maintain a quorum so that we have to have a majority in a quorum.
So I think that means no more than 2.
If we have 4 people, yeah, I think it's
We have room for 2.
no more than
Right.
2.
Got it. Thank you.
3, maybe. Taylor,
Yeah, maybe.
could you help us?
Three's a quorum, so if we have 2 additional,
So if it's 7, if we have 3, then 4 would be a quorum. And then I think the thing is that it would have to be the majority.
so 3 would have to be from us,
Right.
right? Yeah.
Is what we decided. So I think we could actually add 3 to this group.
I've never been clear on that.
I know, it's a little
And
confusing.
I'm still not.
Yeah.
And so,
I think we're all on the same page here.
and so I think that we could add 3 and then I guess the other thing is that how long is that? How long do they serve? It's a great point. And so and because things change, so if we go with from the community, a person from the African American community, a person from the Hispanic community, and a person from the actual employee, that's 3. So things change, right? And so we do very, very well in the African American community, and so we have lots and lots of employees, and that's no longer a necessity. So maybe then we add both people from the Hispanic, but we want to make sure that the terms we set so that we're able to look at and see what's needed and necessary. So maybe a 1 year, we ask them to serve for a year.
Yeah, I think 1 year feels good.
Okay, so we'll ask them to serve for a year, and initially we'll bring in names, but we do want to, again, we want the very best people in our community, but we want to look at those who are already serving in those underserved communities. All right, so Northeast Oklahoma City African American community, Southeast Oklahoma City Hispanic community, and then a person from that's a current employee.
I know, I love it. I think it's great.
All right, so I think that then that's something that we can actually, as far as the term and the timing, qualifications. What do we? I think we kind of mentioned that they're serving their. I mean, I don't know if they would need a degree in marketing or anything like that. It's just that are they connected to the community? Right. Do they have influence in the community? And so I think that would be the qualification. I mean, I'm not trying to set it. I'm just saying that I think that those 2 things, the connectivity and the influence, serve the purpose of this subcommittee. Any other?
I like it. I like it all. I think the demographic influence is hard for me to measure. Like I think we're all influential in different ways, and in different. But I hear exactly what you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, and I love the fact that we're going to be intentional about the inclusivity that you're talking about. I think that individuals who are connected, as you said, in Northeast Oklahoma City, individual who may be connected in Southeast Oklahoma City, someone who may be Hispanic, someone who may be African American, and then someone who is connected with the jail. You 100% support for me, and if we want to, and for them to also serve for the duration of a 1 year term feels right to me as well.
Sounds like a motion.
I would love to make a motion. I'd love to put this in the form of a motion that the up to 3 members that would be appointed to this subcommittee at large would meet the criteria of being connected to, one would be connected to Northeast Oklahoma City, one would be connected to the Hispanic community, let me say it that way. We're going to be intentional about inviting a person who is African American to participate, a person who is Hispanic to participate, and a person who is representative of the jail staff to participate. And we would ask that the term be for 1 year.
It has been moved. Moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
My iPad is faulty. I'm not able to do all the cool tech stuff
Yeah.
that we have. I think that's it.
Whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay. She was previously what? Oh. Awesome.
thank you.
That's great information. Well, little does Michelle know that we are going to be coming for her.
One I guess last thing that maybe at our next meeting that we can all, I know Chris is bringing the name of Jasmine Thomas and their information, and so that maybe that we reach out to any contacts that we know to bring a list of potentials that we will be able to decide at our next meeting.
Mr. Chair, could I just ask? I want to be like, I'm taking full advantage of being in an open meeting because I feel like I can talk about this stuff and not wonder if it's appropriate or not. But a suggestion that was brought to me from our last full board meeting was that when we were discussing recommending a person to serve on the jail trust, one of our board members reached out to me afterwards and said, I really would have liked to have interviewed all of the candidates that were discussed. This person felt like that they would have had a better feel and could have made a better vote. And so in trying to improve and thinking that that's probably a pretty good idea, I wonder if we would want to work through our chair and vice chair of those that, and maybe schedule some interviews.
I think that, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that instead of, I don't know how many possible candidates that we would have and the time constraints, but if we brought names and then said, hey, we like these people first.
Yeah, kind of narrow the.
Then let's talk to them, and once we decide, it's like, oh no. So yeah, I think that we, yeah.
I like that.
Okay, so we'll bring the names next time, and then once we decide on the people that we want to, then we can actually ask them to come to our next meeting, and then that's when we have opportunity.
That's great.
To interview them. Now, do we have to interview them in the open? We do. If all of so
Yeah.
I believe.
So it'll just be an agenda item, and they can.
The agenda item that they would tell us about themselves.
Perfect.
And their willingness to serve.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think do we need? That's just an agenda item, so we don't need to move on that. Okay. So next thing is adjournment.
I so move that we adjourn.
It has been moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you all.
Yeah, great
for coming and
discussion. That
serving.
was wonderful.
Yeah.